Hello and welcome to our brand new episode of Calm the Conflict, the Art of Resolution with myself, Zakia, and
Hi, I'm David Goldberg. So I'm a accredited mediator through CEDAR, Legal 500 recognised, and also ADR. And I've done some mediations with Zakia, and we're going to have a chat.
we're going to look at today the practical steps in preparing for mediation. What should the lawyers be doing in terms of preparation for instructing a mediator?
Yeah,
And actually, what does the mediator look for when he receives those instructions, and how you go about actually then deciding what documents relevant to the mediation negotiations themselves on the actual day of mediation.
sure. Okay, so it tends to be that the claimant will put the bundle together. That will normally include whatever it is they want. Often vast amounts of information. We'll have invoices, statements of works, a whole range of documents that need to be that are relevant, rafts of emails, email trails, etc. The defendant will then do the same. And my job when I get it is to filter through what I actually need to read. So I will not spend hours in advance looking at every invoice, cross-referencing every email. If there's something that core that obviously one of the parties needs to see, it will be drawn to my attention somewhere. If there's an admission or an observation or a quantification of the claim, that's normally pointed out to me somewhere, either by the parties in advance or on the day.
And there's a difference because you get parties that mediate before litigation, before they take the legal action, and then you get parties part way through the legal process, where you've already got particulars of claim describing what the actual claim is, potentially a defense that's already been filed, so you roughly know from reading that document what the other side's position is. So what's the difference between sort of the pre-legal and legal in terms of cutting through all that paperwork?
Yeah. So the pre-legal start, the pre-issue, there will always be a letter of claim, if not a protocol, some kind of letter of claim. So that will establish what the claim is about, who the parties are, and what the issues are, and often quantum. So we've got something to start from. If the claim is issued, then obviously we've got the formal pleadings to deal with. But again, the purpose of mediation is not to have a mini trial. My job is not to try the issue to find, it's to find areas where we can find compromise, areas which, I'll say to one side, actually, that's not so good, is it? But what about the other? And likewise. So we're not analysing the legal case. We're looking at the positions, seeing what we can try and achieve and how we can narrow those issues in advance.
So it's not like a judge looking for a really neat bundle with all the paginated documents, being able to cross-reference everything. So from your side, you just want to have an overview of what the case is.
Absolutely. So in advance, I need an overview. On the day, there may be relevant, take me to an email, take me to an invoice, take me to a statement of works, statement of pricing, something like that. The contract. The clause, take me to clause X on page 75. Okay. Yes, and I probably would have noticed that anyway, picked it up and dealt with it before. But also part and parcel of this process is my personal preference in advance of mediation is I will always ring the lawyer the day or two before, and just to say, Zakia, we're on for tomorrow, next couple of days. Tell me what you want to do at the end of the day. Where do you want to be? Are there any issues you really need to draw my attention to? And I have exactly the same conversation with the other side. And just that conversation itself is very helpful in just narrowing it down. I appreciate both sides are relatively guarded, especially at the early days. But if you've mediated with me before, you understand the process and you've got that confidence to say, well, actually, this is what we want. So
And in that pre-call
Yeah.
that you have with the lawyers, do they give you any sort of advance notice or descriptions of what the other party might be like they're really difficult to handle, or I mean, naturally they're going to
Always.
be difficult to handle, but like, do you just is that in one ear and out the other? Because it's like, I don't need to know about the personality.
It's de-steaming. It's good for you to get off your chest because everybody wants to say the other side is in the wrong. Everybody has said the other side is difficult, and it's good to hear. I mean, I hear it from both sides. As long as you both say the same thing about each other, that's good. Often lawyers will say, we've got a good relationship, but we disagree. Which is also nice.
Yeah, they're just butting heads.
Butting heads, but it just sets the tone for the mediation, which is quite useful.
Okay, so just to wrap that up then, from your side, what do you want to see the next time a solicitor or lawyer instructs you on a mediation? What paperwork do you want to see?
Core paperwork. literally the core documents. So the pleadings, witness statements are fine, but I probably won't read through huge amounts of exhibits unless you say, you need to look at this. I may look at one sample invoice. I look at the contract and the key terms. If there's any offers that have been made as well, I'll jot those down so I know exactly where we are on the parameters. So Part 36 offers, call to bank offers, without prejudice offers, anything like that, just so that we can see where I can work, what the general lay of the land is, and the detail we drill down in on the day.
That's excellent. Thanks, David. And I think the listeners will really appreciate that, actually learning from your side as a mediator, because as a solicitor, I'm so used to the court work and preparing trial bundles. I think in the same for a mediator that he wants to see everything. And actually you don't, you just want to see that core paperwork. So I think for any lawyer preparing for a mediation, this is going to be super helpful for them. So take note. Thank you for listening. This podcast was brought to you by Right Here Creative, a video creative agency based in Oxfordshire. Check them out at rightherecreative.co.uk.